Hey everyone, welcome to the Drop Podcast, episode 4. We're getting into this. We have some fun topics. Indiana Jones epic stunt spectacular. Stunt spectacular. That's the name of it. It's the whole thing. It's back. We also got some Disney Genie Plus updates and some news about new roller coasters and a trip report from Tricia. She went to California. Speaking of Tricia, we have Tricia is back in the studio. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad to have you back.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And joining Tricia, we have Sean as always. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. You guys excited for this episode?
Yes.
I am very excited. I'm a little jealous of our friend because she was in California living it up, having a California adventure. I'm excited.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and we will hear from Tricia soon about all of that stuff. But let's go ahead and drop in. All right, like I said, welcome to the Drop Podcast, episode 4. Let's go ahead and just dive on into these topics, shall we? 644 days after the closure of Disney's Hollywood Studios, Indiana Jones finally made his return back to the parks. With the parks returning back to normal more and more each day, it was only a matter of time before Disney brought back the fan favorite Indiana Jones epic stunt spectacular. However, as fans have noticed, the show that returned was slightly modified from the original beyond just a technical update. Several elements of the show have been changed. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to take this one first, I think, just because I want to set the stage for like what changes have been made, give some context, So this show has been long rumored. In our last podcast episode, we talked a bit about the show coming back and some of the rumors that had been going around about it being modified. And one of the things that we had talked about last week was that there was this rumor that they were going to take out a lot of the behind the scenes elements, instead of it being like, hey, we're making a movie and we're going to take you along on the ride. They were going to take that out and make it more of just like a standard stage show at Disney. And then COVID hit, and there were a lot of these rumors were still kind of up in the air, like what are they going to do with it? So the show has officially returned, and honestly, I'm not surprised that it's been modified. However, I am surprised at how little it's been modified. The show has its original show elements, it's the same basic storyline, but a lot of small changes have been made. For example, all of the guest volunteers that used to be a part of the show are no longer a part of the show because of COVID. Well, that's what they're claiming. I don't know if after COVID and all that, I don't know if they're going to be bringing that element back. I would be surprised if they did, though. But they're claiming it's due to COVID. So all the guest elements have been removed. Due to the fact that they removed the pistol off of Indiana Jones, a few of the scenes have changed. So that's another change. Indiana Jones no longer carries a weapon in the show. So the scene with the sword twirling villain dude, when Indiana Jones shoots him, that has been removed due to two facts. Like I said, the Indiana Jones character not having a pistol anymore, but also because they removed the fact that none of the characters die in the show anymore. So even like the background characters, like in the third act of the show, there's like the guy up in the turret that shoots the gun at the airplane and all that. Like previously he would be shot, or whatever, but now they have him just like kind of run off screen. The guy who Indiana Jones fights at the end and like the blades chop him up like in the movie, instead of him dropping down into like a prop like door or whatever, and simulating that he died, now he just like gets punched by Indiana Jones and runs off. So all the fake deaths have been removed as well as any reference to Nazi Germany. So in the original, they had planned on having swastikas on like the airplane and a few of the Nazi Germany props. But in 1989, as they were writing the show at the very last moment, they decided to change it. And so it never actually opened with swastikas, but it opened with symbolism that was very similar to swastikas. And they didn't shy away from saying like Nazi Germany and all that stuff. Now, however, all those logos have been removed and every reference to that has been removed. So I know that was very long-winded, but that has been like a lot of the changes. And they've kind of also like made some updates where now they mention things like filming in landscape mode just to kind of like bring the show to the 21st century or whatever. I don't know. So with all these changes, like, have either of you seen the live show yet, or have you seen like videos of it? And what do you think of the changes? Like, I don't know. So Sean, what do you think about all this?
I've not seen the new show. I can say I've seen the previous show many, many times. Mm-hmm. It was definitely a favorite of mine. It's wild, I guess, hearing all those changes because I understand a lot of them. Or they're just all of the times, I guess, because of COVID. And then I think, I don't want to say, like, I hate the word censorship, but I think maybe just more, I don't actually know what the word is, like being more culturally appropriate. I don't know, like, I guess the phrasing of that I'm struggling with, but just being more, I guess, aware of the times and I think what was offensive of the past and how that can be interpreted now and whatever, I don't know. I get like certain things. It's weird because at the same time, I feel like even just referring to the swastikas, like I know like it's not necessarily in promotion of like a certain ideology. It's more so just referencing a point in history. And that was kind of what the show is representing.
Yeah.
By having those symbols. And so I don't know. I mean, it's, yeah, I will say in reference to the fact that there's no longer crowd participation, that is kind of sad because that was always exciting. And there was always that one person was actually a part of the show.
Yeah.
Which is always really, that was so endearing.
That element is still in the show.
Okay.
Like the this is how we throw a fake punch thing. Yeah. Like that part is still in the show, but it's not like clearly this person's supposed to be like a guest in the show. So they took out that element. But they do still do that like gag where it's a little less clear. In the show now, they're like showing you how to throw a fake punch and they still play the sound effect and all that and they sell it really well. But they intend for it to like make you think, oh, she's actually hitting this guy. But it's less clear now because they have both said that both those people are stunt performers. So it's like, no... Like the gag doesn't
it's
work.
Like too spelled out maybe.
Yeah, like it's not clear that this is supposed to be a joke or like this is a gag or whatever. It just looks like they're demonstrating how to throw a fake punch and they're doing it really well. So yeah, it's just kind of strange. I feel like that element doesn't play as well as it used to, Yeah. But that is still in there. So
yeah, I don't know. I guess for me I understand with COVID and everything else, and I guess I understand a lot of it. I don't know. I guess I'm a very nostalgic person, and that show is like one of the only things I feel like at Hollywood Studios that's really stood the test of times and has been around since really like the great changes that have come, including like Toy Story Land and like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And I think just, oh my gosh, even like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, like that theme park has changed so much.
It's like the last element.
That was like the last thing, and so
the studio.
And so I guess for me, I would, I guess what you call a late bloomer as far as like getting into the Disney parks, because I didn't start till I was in college, and then so that was right around the time I kind of came into all those things, at least for Disney's Hollywood Studios. And so it's just unfortunate now because although those were kind of some of my first memories with that park. And it's all changed so much. And now this is just another thing that's changed. Of course, these are living, breathing businesses that need to continue to evolve and change. And so I get it. I guess it's always sad.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's sad.
So what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen the show yet?
I have not seen it yet since it reopened. I feel like a lot of stuff, though, since it was closed for so long, Disney had time to think about the changes they would want to make.
644 days is a long time.
Exactly.
A long time.
So I feel like a lot of this is probably things that they've thought about for a while, and now it's like, okay, it's reopening. We can kind of change things up a little bit. And then obviously COVID, is a part of that, where they're trying to keep people socially distanced and stuff.
Yeah. So do you feel like these changes are necessary? Like, I don't know, are you shocked at all to hear that these changes have been made? Are you disappointed? Are you excited for the changes?
I'm not surprised. I'm kind of sad because I love the original show too. I mean, it's one of my favorites. So I'm kind of sad.
Okay.
Well, the parts I'm sad about is like the crowd. Because, I mean, that was... Like, I've been there with friends, and they're, like, jumping up and down wanting to get picked, and then they get picked. And
that's awesome.
It's so much fun just to, like, see them be a part of the show. So I miss that part.
I hope that part returns. They haven't stated whether it will or not. Or they haven't really stated what their intentions are, even with that. I hope that it returns, because it really was, like, that was one of the best parts of the show, especially because when they change their sets, it gives them like show fillers. And now their show fillers are just kind of, I don't know, like they just don't really make a whole lot of sense. Like they have the audience make sound effects, like they have the audience like scream or laugh or whatever, but then that like never plays into the show. Like they never actually play those sound effects back in the timing of the show, like, so it just kind of sounds, or like it feels weird.
It sounds very low budget.
Yeah,
it sounds low budget.
It really does.
Like, so even those parts they're not long enough to fill the gap that they need to set up for the next scenes. Where the other act, like where the other, like, bringing the guest in was long enough. So now there's like periods of time where the cast members just kind of like standing around.
There's like dead space.
There's dead space, and their show direction is to act like they're doing something, like, act like they're taking notes or act like they're working on a film set, but really it's just dead space. So I really do hope that they bring that crowd interaction back in, because it did add a neat element to the show, I think, at least. In terms of the other things, I understand that, Disney is trying to appeal more and more to families, especially in Hollywood studios, because for a long time that was kind of like the more adult park. And I understand that they've done this with Pirates of the Caribbean, where they've made it less and less edgy and more PC, I guess. So I understand the notion of Indiana Jones not carrying a pistol, but I feel like they are making these small changes to the show and not really like going all in with these changes. Like, for example, the pistol, like, I understand, like, you don't want to have your main character like shooting people and promoting violence in your parks. However, they don't get rid of the scene in the show where like Miriam gets captured and the truck drives around and he shoots the truck with a machine gun. Now he just steals the machine gun off of a bad guy that he punched or whatever. And so he's still using a gun at one point in the show, and a truck still blows up, and it still implies that the driver died, right? Because like they go in and like chase after Miriam. They're like, Miriam, are you all right? As they're putting out the fire, but like they don't check on the driver, right? Well, because there is no driver in the, but in theory, right, there would be a driver, So like they're not fully taking out those elements of the show, because so much of the elements of Indiana Jones is action and fighting and like, I don't know, I don't want to say violence, but like there's good guys versus bad guys. Someone gets hurt.
Stunt coordination.
Exactly. It's a stunt show. Like, so I just think it, like, the choices that they've made are a little strange because they don't go all the way with those choices. And I don't know. I personally kind of have I understand the whole, like, we don't want to have Nazi Germany emblems in our park. I get that. But at the same time, like, Indiana Jones, a big element of that is him like throughout history dealing with Nazi Germany. And like you said it, having these emblems in the show doesn't necessarily mean that you support the ideologies of Nazi Germany. Like, I don't know. I feel like we need to, like, I understand what they're doing, but at the same time, I feel like there is a very, I don't know, like there's a line there where it's like, but history is still important. Yeah. Like, you can't just like get rid of history and pretend like things didn't happen. It's important to represent certain things. And I understand not wanting to represent certain things as well, but there's like a fine line there, and I don't necessarily know where that line is. But I just continue to see the parks more and more kind of create this like very, very sensitive, like, to culture atmosphere, which they're a business, so I get that. But
it seems like diluted, I guess. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah. It seems like they're trying to keep the heart of the original, but I feel like a lot of these small changes kind of prevent it too. So it's like walking that line of what's important to be sensitive to, and what is it important to keep in order to keep keep the heart of the show as well. Now, I think the show is still a great show. Like, the show's by no means, like when I introduced this, I said it's small changes. At the end of the day, it's small changes. I don't think that these changes ruin the show by any means. But it's, if small changes here and small changes there over time, it ends up becoming big changes to the show. And I just don't want this show to change too much. This show has a long history. So much so that it is actually the longest running theme park show ever in any park worldwide. The Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular in Orlando, Walt Disney World. This show is the world's longest theme park show, and I hope that they don't keep making changes down the road, and I hope that they just honor that history of the show, because it is a really important show to the park.
I have a quick question. How does the Carousel Progress, I guess, rate then?
So that is the world's longest stage production yeah, so I actually don't know how that would because they do consider that.
Because that's like broken. I know it's broken records of some. I don't.
Yeah, because they even count that with like Hollywood or Broadway stage productions. It's the world's longest stage production. I don't know if they count this as like a different category of like a live character stage show. I don't know, but I know it like it's the longest running show of its kind. Mm-hmm. Like, I guess maybe they're just counting like stunt shows. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but they do have some statistics where it's like it's the longest running of its kind. So maybe it's just stunt shows. Yeah, I don't know.
Because obviously, Carousel Progress is not a stunt show.
No, it's not. No, not at all. But it is. You're right, though. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. The Carousel of Progress does also have the record for the longest stage production in history, which is wild. Yeah. So. Or maybe it's the most showings or something like that.
There's something there. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Cool. All right, so shall we move on? Anything else you guys want to add to that?
No, I need to see it.
Yeah, I know, I do too.
Yeah, I need to see it.
We need to go
see it.
We'll
like vlog it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, but we're going to turn that over to you guys. Let us know what you think about the Indiana Jones epic Stunt Spectacular. What are your thoughts on the show? Are you glad that it's back? Do you love the show? Have you mixed feelings? I don't know. Leave a comment down below letting us know what your thoughts on this topic is. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, which is also a Disney story. The holidays are in full swing at the resorts, and Walt Disney World has announced some temporary changes to the resort, and more interestingly, to Disney Genie Plus. The new premium service, which launched in September, originally did not include 2 attractions within each park. However, now through January 3rd, 2022, one attraction from each park will be removed from the individual attraction selection list and be added to the Disney Genie Plus service. These attractions include Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom, Frozen Ever After at Epcot, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios, and Expedition Everest at Animal Kingdom. So, Tricia, I'll start this off with you. What are your thoughts on them adding attractions back to Disney Genie? Well, I guess not back, but just to Disney Genie Plus. And do you think this kind of like represents the state of Disney Genie Plus and kind of what they like the state of its performance, let's say? Like, why do you think they're adding these attractions back?
A lot of people have been very disappointed with Disney Genie Plus. And I mean, the thing is, you're paying extra to use it, and then you have to pay more to ride those other attractions. So, you know, there have been a lot of hate going on with just in general. I haven't used Disney Genie Plus at Disney World yet, but I did over at Disneyland. And I do think it's worth the money if you're going to be there all day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're just doing like a half day or it's raining or something, you know, I can see it being a little much. But, I mean, you're able to get through with, you know, a lot less weight. So I think they might be testing it out because the extra lightning lane attractions, I don't think people are using that as much. I mean, like, I don't know, paying that extra money just to ride one ride is kind of out there.
Yeah, that's been my big complaint with Disney Genie Plus is like, okay, if you're going to have me pay to use the service, then don't make me pay extra to use what should have been included in it in the first place, or at least do a better job of communicating it. Because I feel like, you know, I've talked about this a lot, especially in like my vlogs, where I've been in line with, you know, just random people, and the conversation will get started and we'll talk about it, and like it is just so convoluted that even Disney park fans are confused. And I feel like they will be confused for a while about how this system works because there's so many like asterisks to the service. I think that the individual attractions has been like probably the biggest issue with the service. But Sean, what do you think about this?
You know what? When they first announced Disney Genie Plus, I will say I actually thought it was going to be similar to that of Max Pass, which used to exist at Disneyland Resort, which was where you would pay $15 for the day and you would get this reservation type system. However, there was no tiers. It was just whatever was available, you could book it. And I think I actually interpreted this system like that, similar to what you guys were speaking of, which it should be, which it's not. And so it is funny that it almost feels like they're testing it, I guess, or maybe they're afraid of getting a lot of negative feedback while the parks are in such massive capacity because of the holidays, because it's the busiest time of the year for the Disney parks, you know, let's face it. So maybe they're trying to prevent some backlash before it potentially happens. Or maybe there's just so much confusion, they'd rather avoid any error or issues or I guess, lack of understanding on visitors by just shoving it all together and like making it a simple, uniform thing, which it really should be, because at the end of the day, I don't know, like I get all of it. But I feel like even if they had those, I guess, I don't know if what do they refer to them as? Like e-ticket attractions, or it's Lightning Lane?
Well, yeah, so they call it Lightning Lane. This is where like
that's where you pay per ride, correct? Is Lightning Lane.
Yeah, so you enter through the Lightning Lane, but the Lightning Lane Plus is what they're calling the individual attraction selection, which is weird because they also call it an individual attraction selection. So like, the naming scheme has been very confusing.
Because like even if they offered, what the select attractions that are only Lightning Lane Plus, even if they offered like a select few within the Disney Genie Plus, And then they had, I guess, a select number that were limited to just, I guess, Lightning Lane Plus, where so you still had access to paying that premium of getting special like access to these attractions, but also people who just have the Disney Genie Plus for the day also have, I guess, even if it's just more limited, but still some access to it. I feel like even that, like just meeting halfway, granted, I'm sure there's so many problems with everything I just said, but at the same time, I'd like to think there's another way to, I think, grant this new structure that they're trying to implement that is just a lot of people are struggling with. I get with change comes that lack of understanding and also just that time of just, I guess, accepting that change. Yeah. And like we're in that. But I will say, like, I know there are so many people that are not diehard Disney fans that are just the day pass visitors who will be so confused by this. And that's going to happen for years to come. I do not believe in any like capacity that this will be a widely understood thing at any point. I just don't think that'll ever happen. I think it's too confusing, even though it is like we just said it and it sounds simple, but I know so many people that to this day they never understood the Fast Pass Plus system. I don't feel like this system will ever be widely recognized or understood. It's too difficult. It's not, I feel like it actually goes against everything that is Disney, which is pretty straightforward. This I don't think is. It's just too, it almost just seems tedious, like the amount of differences with, I don't know, it's too much. I think that I just think that's it. It's too much.
Well, you know, like Disney has always had these weird convoluted systems, like all the way back from the opening of Disneyland in 1955. Like this is where the whole e-ticket thing comes from, right? Like they had a booklet where it's, you know, you bought the entry to the park, but then once you're in the park, you have to pay for this booklet that has like these tickets for each attraction, and each attraction had its ranking from what was going to be like the biggest, most popular attraction, and that attraction was your e-ticket. So they had A through E, and like, you know, It's a Small World might be like a C ticket, and you know, Country Bear Jamboree would be like a B ticket or something, which was fun. Like that side note, Country Bear Jamboree for the longest time had like a super long line always, just because it was listed as an e-ticket, even though it shouldn't have been. And so eventually they like moved it down to like a B ticket or whatever, and then it never had a line because people always thought e-tickets were the best. Therefore, I have to like wait in line for the e-ticket. So anyways, side note. But yeah, they always had like these weird convoluted systems, and then FastPass came in, and FastPass had a learning curve, but people eventually learned. And then, well, some people didn't, you know, like notoriously there was always like, there was like a community of people that had figured out how to like game the system for FastPass. And the reason why hardcore Disney fans loved FastPass was because they knew how to use FastPass and other people didn't. So they would be able to like, you know, take advantage of it, find the loopholes. And then the same thing happened with FastPass Plus. You know, some people figured it out and they really utilized it, but it was very convoluted as well. So a lot of people just didn't utilize it ever because it was too much to think about, too much to worry about. Like
remember that it was like 30 days out from that was it 30 days out for what? I can't remember.
So I think it was 30 days out for normal people,
and then 60 days for resort people staying at the resorts.
Yeah, but you know, like it was still so much that it was like, you know, I keep on talking about like with today, like with reservations and all that, I like it takes away that spontaneity of going to the theme parks, and that's something that I personally love. I know not everyone does. I know there are a lot of people out there that love have everything planned and everything structured, and I get that. That's great, but for me personally, I really do enjoy being able to go to a theme park and just explore and like have a day that, you know, there's no rules, there's no guidelines. Like I can just be free for a day. That's something that I really love about the parks. And so there were days where like, dealing with FastPass Plus like was just too obnoxious, so I just didn't. And like, even though I knew all the tricks to like game the system too, but like there were some days that I just didn't want to do it. This new system with Disney Genie Plus, I feel like, you were saying it, like it's again like another layer of like, it's even more convoluted than FastPass Plus, and FastPass Plus was even more convoluted than FastPass, and it's just like it's getting more and more difficult to have just a normal day at the parks. And so, but what's interesting about this story to me is that it's about like, and you mentioned a little bit about it, but it's the timing of it, right? So it's now through January 3rd, which is like the peak season of the parks. Like this is the busiest that it will, like one of the busiest times that it will be all year. And it's strange that they chose now to add that attraction back in, because, if they're just testing the system, like if it's just like, we're going to test to see what's better, normally they do those tests in the slow time where it has the least amount of impact. Or they'll say, hey, if you come to the parks and you get Disney Genie Plus now, and it's like in the January to March area where it's super slow, you could say, well, but if you come here now and you book Disney Genie Plus now you'll have for a limited time that extra attraction. Like it would be marketing to get more people to use it, maybe in like a slower season where more people wouldn't. But now in the big busy season of the year, I don't think Disney's really going to struggle to sell Genie Plus all that much. So it's interesting, why are they adding this in back like right now? And you had said something that I think is probably really true. This is probably the reason why they're doing it. It's because I think Disney knows how convoluted it is. And I think they know that a lot of people have been confused and a lot of people have had issues with it, where it's, so FastPass isn't a thing anymore? No. So, but I could pay to use FastPass. Well, kind of. Okay, well, explain that to me. And then you have to explain that whole system of, well, if you pay $15, you can do this, but it's only one you can only use it once in an attraction. So if you use it at Haunted Mansion, you can't do Haunted Mansion again with Disney Genie Plus. Okay, cool. So that's a thing. And then also you can only have one at a time. Well, when you book, you can't just go up to the front of like there's a waiting period. So, and sometimes that waiting period is like 3 hours. Well, if you wait 2 hours, then you can, like, there's just so many like asterisks to it, and it just keeps going. And now on top of it, with all those asterisks, it's also, okay, I want to ride Space Mountain. Well, okay, cool, but you're going to have to pay $10 to do it, or whatever price they set for it. They need
like a seminar.
Yeah.
It's like
to do it all. I even need it. I'm a fan. Like I'm honestly, I'm so confused myself.
Yeah, like I'm just going over this and I'm confusing myself, and it, like, we're supposed to know about this stuff. It's so wild, and I feel like just having that extra, like, you paid $15 to do this, but like for bigger, more popular attractions like Rise of the Resistance, now you have to pay an extra $15 to do that one per person. And at Disneyland it can go up to $20. So if you want to ride Rise of the Resistance there, it's like you pay $20 for Disney Genie Plus, but if you want to do Rise of the Resistance, you're going to have to pay another $20 just for that one ride. And I feel like that they've had such a issue with that lately, where I feel like because it's the busy season, they just don't want to deal with it as much. And if they add in one attraction in each park, that will lower the amount of complaints maybe that they've been getting, or a lot of that confusion might go down. It's interesting, like that's what I would assume with this time period that it dropped in. Also, I'm wondering if maybe that extra paid attraction hasn't been performing as well as they thought. Like I have not been to Magic Kingdom since they launched Disney Genie Plus. I've never been there once where the Lightning Lane, like the extra add-on attraction for Space Mountain has either been sold out or has a waiting period or whatever. Every time I've checked, it said ride now. Like if you pay the $7 that they're asking for Space Mountain, like you could literally pay for it and then ride it like immediately. You never had to wait, you know, where like attractions like Rise of the Resistance, where obviously it's a new attraction, you have to like, you know, like there's a big demand for it. Even that $15 purchase that you make might have a 3-4 hour wait time where it's like your callback time is like 8 p.m. or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Like never has that happened, like when I've been there, at least to Space Mountain. Never has that happened, at least when I've been to Epcot at Frozen Ever After.
That almost sounds like the virtual queue, which they eliminated. If you think about it, you know.
Except now you have to pay for the virtual. So it's interesting that so one, I think it might also be because it hasn't been performing as well, so you might as well just eliminate it. Like if people aren't buying it, like just make it less confusing for people and just put it back in Disney Genie Plus. Like these are all attractions that, another thing is like these are all attractions that just never should have been an individual attraction in and of itself. Like why am I paying an extra $12 to ride a almost 50-year-old roller coaster? You know, like that's ridiculous. Like I understand it with bigger attractions, like we've said, like Rise of the Resistance, but why are we paying this for like a small boat ride that's been open for how many years at Epcot? You know, like I don't know, it just, to me, like some of those attractions haven't made sense. Like Everest, maybe I can see that, but like because you don't want to make both your Pandora attractions like the extra add-on thing, but like I don't know, it's just, so these attractions, I'm glad that they're putting them back into, well, not back into, because they never were a part of Disney Genie Plus, but I'm glad that they're putting them into that service, because all these 4 attractions that they're adding back, honestly, have never made sense to me in the first place.
I feel like, and just in general with any type of like, I guess, priority service, typically you pay that additional fee for simplicity. And that you're getting the total opposite with this. Like you're actually getting just headaches and like it's more planning. You're taking on more responsibility because now you're actually putting down more money in the hopes of getting a better experience that you still have to be strategic about, which in the end kind of defeats the purpose of paying more money, because you don't want to have to be strategic. You don't want to have to really manage your time as much. And I don't know, it just, there's a lot of, we could, you know, talk about this forever, but it's just, it is crazy. Well, I'm sorry. What were your thoughts, Tricia?
Also, one thing that I've noticed, and a lot of other guests have said this too, they'll put the wait times up purposely for the individual Lightning Lane attractions. So somebody will go up and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not waiting that. And then they'll just pay the extra. And there have been times, like I've ridden Space Mountain, where it said it was like an 1.5 hour wait, and I got through in half an hour. But they've been putting it up. I mean, Disney's not admitting this, but I've noticed it, and other people have noticed it too. Interesting. To try to kind of be like, all right, I guess I'll pay the extra just so I don't have to wait in that line.
It's like price gouging almost.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't noticed that with like Space Mountain, but I have noticed that with Rise of the Resistance. Where, you know, like I think the last time I rode Space Mountain, I actually waited like right on the dot. Like they said it would be a 45-minute wait or whatever, and I waited actually like 45 minutes, which I was shocked when, like, because I actually timed it. Like I put a timer on my phone and I actually timed it. But with Rise of the Resistance, I was just there like a week or so ago, and it was listed as like a 90-minute wait, and we rode in like 40 minutes. And that's a wildly different, like that's more than half of the wait time, or less. That's less than half of the wait time. So that's a wild thing. But, you know, like to what you were saying, Sean, that like you were saying that most of the time, like these extra additional pay, like add-on things at parks, like you buy them for simplicity, where with this it's more convoluted. And, you know, that's actually the reason why I haven't paid for Disney Genie Plus here yet, is because if I, like, you know, so we were talking a few weeks ago about the difference between Disney Genie Plus and the Express Pass at Universal, and just how big of a price difference there is, but like the reasoning for why Disney Genie Plus is a lot cheaper than Express. But, you know, the reason why people, like, for me, why I would buy something like Express at Universal, where I wouldn't buy Disney Genie Plus at Disney, is because with Express, it, like what you were saying, it
you just
makes
walk up, literally.
it makes it more simple. Yeah, you just walk up and use it.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I don't have to be on my phone as much, you know, like I don't have to be worrying about wait times. So I don't have to be on my phone and scrolling through the Universal app.
You don't
and
have to learn it too,
Yeah.
which is like, who wants to learn like on a vacation?
Yeah, like a new app.
Yeah.
Where with Disney Genie Plus, it's like, I don't have to be on my phone as much if I don't have Disney Genie Plus.
Sure.
If I buy Disney Genie Plus, it automatically means I'm going to have to spend more of my day on my phone.
Yeah.
And when I'm at a theme park, I want to experience the theme park. I don't want to experience my screen that I have every day of my life. Like, get me away from that thing.
Yeah.
That's my personal feeling. And that's the reason, specifically, that is the reason why I haven't paid for Disney Genie Plus. It's not the price. It's the fact that, like, I would rather have, and again, I'm an annual pass holder, so I can go whenever I want. It might be a little different if, like, you know, you were just at Disneyland and you only have a certain amount of days. I understand that. But as an annual pass holder, it's not the $15 that gets me. It's I would rather just kind of chill and relax. And sure, I might wait in a line for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour, where if I had Disney Genie Plus, I, you know, could wait in a virtual queue instead. Like, you know, I understand that I might be waiting longer, but that trade-off is worth it for me to not be on my phone and to have experiences with my friends where we're not worried about looking at our phone as much. So I know we traveled a long way from that first original question. Disney Genie Plus is just like, it's a topic, you know?
It is.
So there's a lot to talk about with it.
And we got a lot of feelings.
Yeah. But we're going to turn that over to you guys. What do you think about Disney Genie Plus adding attractions into the normal service and eliminating it from sorry, poor Mike, but from removing it from the extra paid for attraction and putting it back into the service? What do you guys think? Are you excited about that? What do you think it says about the service? Is there anything that we can look into or read into from this announcement? Let us know down below your thoughts and have a conversation down there. We'll definitely be joining in that conversation as well. But let's go ahead and move on to our third and final main topic before we get into Tricia's big discussion and trip report. Velocicoaster is no longer the new kid on the block for the new generation of Intamin multi-launch Blitz coasters. Busch Gardens Williamsburg, located in Virginia, just released a POV of the much anticipated Pantheon. Pantheon, when it opens in March of 2022, will be the world's fastest multi-launch roller coaster. This record-breaking coaster stands at 180 feet tall with a top speed of 73 miles per hour and features a 90-degree drop, 4 launches, 5 airtime hills, and 2 inversions. That is a mouthful. There's a lot there. That does a lot. But have you guys, Sean, I'll go over to you first on this. Have you guys seen the POV of the coaster that they just released, and how do you think it stacks up to Velocicoaster? Because this is the big debate, right? Everyone thinks like this might be the new coaster to like dethrone the champs, you know, but they're also specifically comparing it to Velocicoaster because Velocicoaster was the newest in like the Blitz coaster lineup, but now we got this. So have you seen it, and what do you think? How does it compare?
So I just watched the POV for the first time prior to the taping today. And I've been on Velocicoaster 3 times, maybe
what a
4
noob.
times, maybe 4. And there are a lot of similarities. The massive like arc, I don't know what you call that.
The hang time stall.
The hang time.
The stall.
There's a portion where you're completely just riding like upside down for like, it's like a straightaway of upside down.
Yeah, like 2.5-3 seconds.
Which
like
is... like identical to Velocicoaster.
It has a top hat.
I mean, there's so many similarities. There were portions of the track where I actually thought they might have been the same. For that reason, I totally get why they would make the comparison. obviously I've not been to this new attraction to experience it.
Well, I mean, no one has. It's not even open yet.
So, well, I'm just saying, like, that's the thing. Like, it's really hard to say, I guess, like, just from a video. But I will also say I totally get the comparisons because it makes a lot of sense. Like, they seem remarkably similar. Obviously, the theming is so different, and one is based off of a massive movie franchise. And the other is
like Greek gods.
Which is like whatever. I don't know, but then it also, like, I always think back to oh my goodness, like Dueling Dragons at Universal Orlando, and then at Busch Gardens they had
Montu.
It was like the exact same ride. Were they the exact same ride, or were they not?
No, they're not. I love Montu. I think Montu is the world's best. Now again, so I can't say the world's. I haven't been on like through the world, but North America's best inverted B&M roller coaster. I love that ride, and I didn't realize. So I think the reason why I love this ride so much, it was like a subconscious thing. I like just subconsciously knew, but I was like doing some research on the ride like a year ago because I was just curious to learn more about it. That ride opened the same day that I was born.
Oh, wow.
Like not just the day, like not my birthday. But like the same day, the same year,
Destiny.
That's awesome.
So we have like this connection, you know. I love that ride.
That is, first of all, that's almost poetic.
It is poetic.
It is.
It's one of my favorite coasters.
That's beautiful. I love that for you. I don't know. Like, well, I guess like the comparison I can only make is those two attractions always felt identical to me. And for that reason, it was always like, I think people in Central Florida are so quick to compare them. Granted, one is no longer even around. The Dueling Dragons is obviously gone, but I guess for that reason, and I can see why people would make this comparison with these two attractions, because it feels like a very similar situation. But I feel like this happens in the theme park world and roller coasters specifically. Like when it's the same brands, they do make very similar copies, do they not? Yeah,
B&M has been a huge, like this is what they're really known for, you know. They have like a certain amount of elements. For those who don't
know, because I did not know this, and that's why I want you to talk about this.
So a lot of... So yes, the vast majority of roller coasters built are not built by the actual theme park. Some like wooden roller coasters, like really old wooden roller coasters, like, you know, the historic ones.
Like back in the day.
Yeah. Some of those might have been built by the theme park and the engineers that the theme park like hires. But the vast majority, like 99.99% of coasters that are put in parks are not built by the theme park. They're built by coaster manufacturers. One of the biggest coaster manufacturers in the world was B&M for the longest time. Like they did Dueling Dragons. They also did Montu. That's the reason why they're compared so much. It's the same manufacturer, and it's the same, like, so the manufacturer has different, like, you know, it's like
sections, correct? And they kind of piece it all together.
Well, so they have different models of coasters, you know, like B&M also makes SheiKra, for example. And so SheiKra is a dive coaster. And with that, the model has different elements that they will use, different styles of trains. So like the trains for SheiKra have 8 rows, or like eight seats in a row, and 3 rows deep for a train, where Montu has 4 seats but like 8 rows in a train. So it's like, you know, they're different, but they're all made by the same manufacturer. So there's like manufacturer different types of, and then they make different types of coasters under there. One of the other biggest roller coaster companies in the world right now is Intamin, and they've been making big leaps over just the last 10 years or so.
And they did Velocicoaster and this other one, correct?
And this other one. That's why they're being compared so much. But Intamin has been like really blowing up lately because they were like a smaller manufacturer a handful of years ago. You know, like they also did Cheetah Hunt. right, at Busch Gardens.
That's a good time.
Yeah, it's a great time, but it's very different from Velocicoaster.
Yeah.
And that's because Intamin, so B&M, for example, they have not really innovated a whole lot in the last handful of years. Like they, like one of the things that makes the Hulk such a unique coaster is that is the only, well, now that Universal Beijing opened, they also have like a clone of the Hulk over there for the Decepticoaster or whatever. It's a horrible name for a roller coaster, but they have
It's
like
unique.
Yeah, it's the same ride as the Hulk. So now there's technically two of them, but for the longest time, the Hulk was the only roller coaster made by B&M that had a launch. Every other B&M roller coaster had a lift hill, like a traditional lift hill, where, you know, like, so they're very traditional in the way that they make their things, and they don't really innovate a whole lot. What set Intamin apart was that they do innovate a lot, and there are really big like really famous stories about Intamin where they've tried something and it didn't work. Like, for example, Maverick, which is a coaster at Cedar Point, which is like the world capital for roller coaster enthusiasts. You know, like that's the roller coaster enthusiast mecca. They have a coaster called Maverick where when they originally built it, they had this Heartline roll that goes over like the water. And when they were like, they built the whole coaster, they started testing it and everything. And it turned out that Heartline roll was just too intense, you know? And so they like were doing, that was like the first generation of that model. And so they were figuring out like what does and what doesn't work. So they had to completely remove that element of the ride and just make it like a normal turn instead of having like a Heartline roll going into a turn.
So lame.
Yeah, right? For real. But
I'm such a butthead. But like, that's so lame.
Right? But, yeah, no, everyone thinks that though.
So,
like everyone was so
I
disappointed.
was not aware of that story.
Yeah,
That's wild.
I'll have to show you. They have a video of it testing and doing the Heartline roll, and then I'll show you that video, and then like the final video. It's really lame. You're right.
Yeah,
it is lame.
So not cool.
Everyone's like, come on, just let us like, you know,
let us live, and if we die, we die.
But that is the reason why the Heartline roll in Velocicoaster is so talked about, is because it is like the spiritual successor to that Heartline roll that never made it in Maverick, you know? So it's like Intamin like learned more, and now they're trying it again, you know? So they put it in. And another thing was Intimidator 305 at your favorite park, King's Dominion. They built a, it's a mega coaster, right? Because a giga coaster is 400 feet. It was a mega coaster is 300 feet or something. So they built a 305 foot tall coaster, and one of its elements is just like a big banked turn, but they built it so tight that so many people ended up passing out, like blacking out, because they pulled so many G's.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, right? What people didn't just gray out. Like a lot of coasters make people gray out.
Yeah, that was me on the Hulk. Honestly, it really does.
Yeah, that ride actually made people black out, like full on pass out. Yeah. So
we love that for them.
We love that. Yeah. I mean, I would be bragging about that, right? Like, this ride knocked me the F out.
I actually blacked out.
I actually went to heaven and then came back. Like, it was a spiritual experience. But that ride was open for like 6 months or something, and had such a big issue.
Too many people blacked out.
They closed the ride, demolished that section of the track, and rebuilt it and made it wider. So like Intamin has this history of like really pushing the boundaries, and they have seen
right back then.
Well, I mean, they've seen so much success with it, but they've also seen some we don't talk about that.
That's me being respectful, because I think that's incredible. Like being innovative and being fearless and trying these things that push the envelope that may unfortunately cost them more money in the end, obviously, for like demolishing and then manufacturing and redesigning whatever.
Re-engineering
that's a lot of
ride.
stuff. You know, but I that's amazing. I love that.
And so Velocicoaster and this new coaster Pantheon, and there are a few other coasters out there that are the same model, but there's only like 3 or 4 of them in the world right now, including these 2 that we're talking about. It's a new breed of coaster for them. Like, it's a new model, and it's so important in like the the landscape of the theme park world right now, because so they have redesigned everything from the ground up. Like when B&M, for example, like we were just talking about B&M, every time they have a new model of coaster, it kind of uses the same style of track. Like you can tell it's a B&M coaster because it has like the box track with like the rails on top. And it's very easy to tell, like, no matter what style of coaster it is, whether it's a dive coaster, an inverted coaster, a floorless coaster, whatever it is, you can tell, oh, that's a B&M coaster based off its track. And that design language is intentional because it's like a trademark, Intamin has re-engineered this coaster from the ground up and has innovated so much with this coaster type that they completely went back on all of their design choices for their coasters. Like you could tell, so Cheetah Hunt and Maverick, you can tell that they're the same company, even though they're two wildly different rides, because of their track style. With this, they've innovated so much for this coaster type that they realized that old style that they have isn't going to work, and instead of just making it work or like not innovating enough because they want to keep their branding or whatever corporate reasoning or whatever, they've decided that that's not worth it, that they're actually going to completely re-engineer and redesign and build the best coaster possible. So we've gotten rides like Terran over in Germany. It was kind of like the first kind of like step into this new generation of Intamin coasters, and ever since then we've gotten they've been getting more and more innovative. And we've gotten Velocicoaster, which is easily like one of the top 3 coasters in the world. It is amazing.
Well, and one thing I want to point out too, because talking about all this is, and this was something like I never knew until I got into this world of theme parks and the news associated with it. But you were talking about all these different manufacturers have all these different set roller coaster designs and versions and things, and so a lot of these major theme parks, they shop around, they look for what they want, then they smack theming on it, and then it's a roller coaster, and it becomes, and granted it is a theme park, but it kind of kills some of the magic when you learn that.
It kind of does.
That these, that's like when I learned about, oh my gosh, this one was a really tough one for me to swallow, to be really honest with you. With the Flight of Passage, that ride system, that's sold to theme parks around the world, and with different theming and whatever else, and obviously all the animation that you see on the attraction
comes from Disney.
From Disney, but the ride vehicle itself, that's just a generic thing, and then it's kind of modified to be themed, and so it feels like, I don't know, it bothers me.
It makes you feel like Disney's a little less special now.
It doesn't, because it's when you first do these experiences, they seem so innovative and just so revolutionary, but the reality is they've been created and they've been used so many times before. It's just you're seeing it with a new theme.
I mean, a lot of I don't want to discredit theme parks.
No, and I'm not doing that,
because a lot of the innovation specifically does come from the theme parks. We were talking about the Hulk, for example. Universal, the reason why the Hulk has a launch where no other B&M coaster did at the time, and still no other B&M coaster does except for that one clone that's in Universal Beijing right now. The reasoning for that was because Universal specifically wanted something that was powerful like the Hulk, so they wanted to shoot you off. And they also didn't have enough room for a lift hill to get high enough to reach the speeds and all that stuff. So they said to B&M, hey, here's the design, here's what we want. You can go ahead and start designing this, and gave them the plot of land and gave them the general guidelines of this is what we want. And then Universal Creative was responsible for engineering the launch mechanism. So a lot of these innovations do come specifically from the theme parks. And the theme parks do have a lot of say in like the track layout and stuff, where the manufacturer says, hey, here's the design type. These are the different type of elements that we can do. And they have two different types of coasters that they can sell. They can sell a prefab, which is something that is prefabricated. That's what it means. And it's completely designed, and like the layout and everything is completely designed. And you can buy this model and put it in your park. Sometimes parks do that. Like the new Frozen ride that is going in at, what is it? It's Tokyo Disneyland?
I thought it was
France. It's one of the overseas ones.
Because there's a whole Frozen land in France.
In France.
That
it is
sounds
France
right.
because that's their Disney Studios park that's getting it, right?
Is it Walt? Oh my gosh, I'm making up things.
Well, I think it's just Disney Studios, but it's that one. It's not Disneyland getting it, right? I'm sorry. This is what happens when we don't take notes and we just like
wing it. I don't actually know.
Okay.
I
I'm
know
not
it's
sure
gonna
either.
be in a Disney park
Yes.
in probably Europe.
For example, that one was just prefab. They, in order to save money, they bought the whole attraction, plopped it in, put theming around it. But other attractions like, Big Thunder Mountain or Space Mountain or like some other attraction, like for example, this is a great one, Mount Everest, was completely designed in terms of the layout by the Imagineers.
Oh, the Matterhorn. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the Matterhorn was the
Yeah.
very first tubular steel roller coaster ever built. And even though Aero Engineering was the coaster manufacturer for that ride, and they developed the technology and put it together, if it wasn't for Walt Disney and what he wanted to do with that ride, and the Imagineering team under Walt Disney, like working with Aero, that ride never would have been built. So a lot of these innovations, the credit for that does still go to the theme parks, but in terms of the engineering of figuring out like, okay, how are we actually going to do this, and actually like building it, like taking it from a design and making it reality, a lot of that is these coaster manufacturers. So there's the prefab like that, and then there's another where it's like here's the elements that this coaster can do, and then that park will put that together. But we just had IAAPA at it's a yearly event that happens in Orlando.
Yeah.
It was about a month or so ago, month and a half ago. But IAAPA is actually where these theme park and like companies go.
This is where I learned.
And they shop.
The magic was destroed for me.
IAAPA is the Walmart of theme park coaster.
Yeah.
So these theme
Maybe
park
the
companies.
Super Target.
Yeah,
I
the
was
Super
like,
Target. Yeah. It's the Publix.
It's a
Yeah.
the Whole Foods.
The Whole Foods. That's it. We're getting higher. But yeah, that's where they go and they shop around. Literally, they shop around. They go to these different booths and see, what are these people selling? What are these people selling? What are the new innovations here? And
They
they'll
make massive
know,
deals right on the floor.
Yeah, they'll
It's
get
wild.
massive deals on the floor, and they'll know like this is what we're looking for. Who's going to have the best option that fits us, and they'll buy it literally on the floor at IAAPA sometimes. Other times, it's more complicated than that, but a lot of parks literally will just purchase it at IAAPA, which is crazy. But that's like so a lot of companies, like the reason, so this is not confirmed, there's been big speculation about this, of course, though, but the reason why people think that we got Hagrid's at Universal and then immediately after that got Velocicoaster, and they're both Intamin coasters, is because what a lot of coaster manufacturers will do is they will actually bundle coasters together, so it's literally like a normal business, right? Like you can buy one coaster, but if you buy two, it's like buy one get one half off. So like Busch Gardens and SeaWorld is known for doing this, where at one park they'll buy, instead of buying like like they had Empress at SeaWorld San Diego or something like Empress. They have Empress, but then you have Tigress at Busch Gardens Tampa. It's the same exact ride. The reason why they do that, or Six Flags is known for this, where they have like Joker at at one park, but then they'll have the same exact coaster themed to a different thing at the other park, is because if you like, a lot of these coaster manufacturers will prefab a ride and say, you can buy this for $35 million, or you could buy 2 of them for $50 million, and they'll save some money over that second coaster.
Yeah.
So it does take the magic out of it a little bit.
It is a business.
It
At
is
the
a
end of the
business.
day, all of this, it is.
Yeah. But wow, that was such a long tangent. We didn't even get to you yet.
It's okay.
What did you think? Did you see the POV? How do you think it stacks up to Velocity? We're talking about Pantheon.
Tricia is here. She is.
I am here.
I mean, you've been participating in that conversation.
Yes.
We just didn't get your thoughts on specifically Pantheon versus Velocicoaster.
Jonathan and I are too emotional tonight. Oh my
Too
God,
emotional.
we're too emotional.
You get me to start talking about coasters, I will not stop.
No,
and I am not going to apologize for that, but I will apologize to you.
It's okay. Ditto to what Sean said.
Okay, that's it. Short and sweet.
So I grew up going to Busch Gardens Williamsburg.
Yeah,
So-
because you grew up in Virginia.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a really good addition. I'm kind of wanting to make a trip back just to ride it.
Take me with you, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing is, when I lived there, I didn't ride roller coasters. So
Oh
I've
my
actually never
gosh,
been on any
yeah.
of the roller coasters there or at King's Dominion, except for the Scooby-Doo.
Wow.
Dominion, that's the only one.
That
Makes me
unfortunate.
cry.
And the little hill on the Scooby-Doo, I always called the Hill of Death.
Wow.
So,
That's like living in a chocolate factory
yeah.
and
Never
never
tasting
tasting
any
chocolate.
chocolate, yeah.
And then growing up and finding out that you actually love chocolate,
Yeah,
but now you have to
exactly.
pay for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I regret it now. I wish I had
That's
enjoyed
horrible.
it while I
That's
was there.
so sad. Okay,
Sad
well,
story.
we have to go back. We're going to make
The sad true story
Yes,
of Tricia. Yes.
exactly.
we're going to make a trip, the 3 of us,
Yes.
out to Virginia,
Oh,
and we're
yeah.
going to
Yes.
ride this ride.
Exactly.
Maybe not when it opens because we're broke, but
Yeah.
Yes.
but we'll make it a trip.
Yes.
For sure. I have been to Virginia and literally driven right past the entrance of Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Like literally, we saw the sign, I saw the coasters in the distance. We were there twice now in my lifetime, and I have never been able to go.
Kind of like when you're like, you have a layover, but you go in the
Yeah.
terminal and you say you've been to that
Yes.
state.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's just like it. Okay, so it's like vacationing in Orlando, but never going to a theme park.
Yeah.
But maybe if you're lucky, you go to Fun Spot.
Yeah.
That
like-
has been my
Yeah.
experience. Well, so I wouldn't say Fun Spot. I was in Virginia, and we were able to only go to one park the first time that I was there. Only one. And as much as it killed me to do this, we chose to go to King's Dominion just simply for the fact that they had more roller coasters, and the person that I was with didn't really care about like theming, but he cared about coasters more. So for him, it was more worth it to go to King's Dominion. And I genuinely didn't really care. Like both parks were like
good value.
Yeah.
like they were on my list of parks that I eventually wanted to do in my lifetime at some point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a win for me either way.
Yeah.
So we went to King's Dominion, but I missed out on missed out on Busch Gardens.
Yeah.
And then the second time I was there, it was for like a business thing, and we didn't have any days off. Well, we had like half a day off, and we decided to go to Williamsburg because there's like a historic district and
Yeah,
stuff there and
yeah.
all that. And literally, we drove past it again.
Aw.
And they literally had to drag me kicking and screaming like away from that place. Like it was so sad. So I've been there twice and have never been.
That's a sad story. Too.
Yeah. So.
That is the tragic
So many
story.
sad stories
And on that
today.
note-
Tricia
I
and
know,
Jonathan.
so many
yeah.
sad stories today.
Yeah. But I just want to give my quick thoughts on Pantheon real quick, and then we'll move on. But yeah, no, I saw the POV, and I will say that it does look like a really fun coaster. However, I will say that they hyped it up so much. Like people were like, it's going to dethrone Velocicoaster. It might even be the best coaster in the world. Like people were really freaking out about this coaster. I will say I was kind of let down a little bit by the POV, just because I had never done like some research into it until they had released the POV. I just knew what type, like the reason why people were talking about it. I knew that it was like a new Intamin Blitz coaster, and like I knew like the specs of it.
But you know what though? Can I say something? It feels like a little bit lower budget.
Well, it definitely is.
As like with theming, like and if you've been to Velocicoaster 1,000 times, so have you. For those at home, like who maybe have not, the queue, like so many details that revolve around the Velocicoaster are so well themed and are so immersive.
It's a full experience.
It is, and like I can only imagine like what that queue must be like at the Pantheon.
Well, you know, I'm assuming
or things similar.
It'll be like any other Busch Gardens attraction where it's a fun experience. You know, like it's a nice environment, but it's not heavily themed. Like they're not competing.
Like they
with
have like Chris Pratt and like, oh my gosh, what's her name? The redhead, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
Like literally they shot exclusive footage for these rides and like things like there was a big budget.
All like 99% of the budget went into the coaster at Busch Gardens, you know, where like 75% of the budget
those things, but that's how I see it. Like that's like theme parks nowadays. It's so much more than just the ride.
Yeah, you know, I think that is definitely one of the reasons why I don't think it's going to beat Velocicoaster, because even though like this ride does do more than Velocicoaster, like it has more launches, I believe, but it has like one more launch than Velocicoaster or something like that. So it has more launches. It has a track switch thing with like a spike that it goes up, like a fake, like it has like a reverse section. And then it kind of like drops down and does like, you know, so it has more elements. It does more than Velocicoaster. And it also has very similar elements. Like you were saying, it has that hang time stall. It has a top hat. So there are very similar elements.
The Velocicoaster, it does go back up and then like it comes down, I know. And then there's like the drop too. I don't know. No,
that's Hagrid's.
Oh my god! I am like that's the Universal world is confusing me. Oh my god! You're right. Yeah. I'm literally confusing it.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, that's Hagrid's. Same manufacturer.
They see what they do.
They see what
they do.
Yeah.
They steal from themselves.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, yeah. So at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, they also have Verbolten, which replaced, you might know it, what's the name of it? I'm blanking off the top of my head. It was like the swinging aero coaster. Oh man, I forget the name. It replaced a ride recently. Okay. And that ride is an Intamin ride, and a lot of people were comparing Hagrid's to Verbolten when they were building Hagrid's, because a lot of the elements in Hagrid's are the same. Like they have a drop track section and everything in Verbolten. And so, they definitely reuse a lot of elements for sure. And as soon as you like know these things, you start seeing it, you know? But yeah, I think that Pantheon is going to be a fantastic ride. I feel like the issue with when you have like the world's fastest kind of rides, which this is, what did they say? It's the world's fastest multi-launch roller coaster. So out of all the coasters that have more than one launch, this is the fastest. The issue that you have with that is that you cover so much more track in such less time, so the rides are always really short. You know, like the world's fastest roller coaster rider. Like I went on King Ka, which is awesome. It's in Six Flags, New Jersey. It's a great ride. It's 400 feet tall. It hits like 127 miles an hour in like 2 seconds. It's like ridiculous. Like that ride should be illegal. Like it is. I don't know how something like that was approved by any government body. Like it is.
People black out.
People get launched into outer space. Like it is.
Then they black out.
Then they black out.
Then you black out. Like, have you been on Simpsons? Like where it's the drop tower and they're literally in outer space. That's how you feel when you're on King Ka. But the ride is literally like 9 seconds long. It's like one of the world's longest coasters in terms of like track length and everything. It's 9 seconds long.
So the time duration is short.
Yeah, because it's so fast.
I say it's lame.
Yeah, it is kind of lame.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of that was my reaction to the POV of this coaster was like, oh, shorter than I thought it would be. You know, just because when you're going 73 miles an hour, like you can go a mile's length of track in less than a minute. Yeah. It's crazy. So even though it's a really long coaster, you're just flying through it. So yeah, I think it'll be a great ride. I'm excited to eventually be able to ride it. And I think it is a perfect fit for that park. Like that park, it has so much history, like from like Loch Ness Monster to now this. Like you can really see the progression of like this park has really pushed the boundaries in terms of what coasters can do from its beginning. And so this is like the perfect next installment, and I'm excited for them. You know, Busch Garden, like the SeaWorld company in general, has a lot of really exciting things going on, but especially the two Busch Gardens. Like they have Pantheon opening up there, and they have Iron Gwazi opening up here. Like,
oh my gosh, they do.
And it's same month, so March 2022.
Jonathan will be there.
I will be at both. I'm going to pull a Joe Rohde, and I'm going to be at the opening of one attraction, and then be at the opening of the other attraction that's at the same day. But yeah, so let's turn that over to you guys now. What do you think about Pantheon and, all of the other topics that we talked about in this section? But what do you specifically think about Pantheon versus Velocicoaster? Have you seen the POV? Do you think it compares? Which one do you think is going to be better? I honestly feel like, even though it's going to be a great ride, it's not living up to Velocicoaster. It's just like, Velocicoaster is so good. But we'll see. It opens in just a few months, so let us know your thoughts down below. Okay, Tricia.
Yes.
It is time for your trip report. So we just want to have, so this back half of the podcast, we just like to have a big discussion where there's like no structure really. We're kidding ourselves if we think there's any structure up until this point. But there's no structure. It's just one topic, and we will go as long or as short as it takes to cover the whole thing. So this time we want to do a trip report because you just had an amazing trip to California where you saw everything that I've been longing to see my entire life and I've never seen. So
More sad stuff.
So the sad cast.
Yes,
but yeah. So take it away. Tell us about your trip.
So this trip had been put off literally 4 times. Originally, it was supposed to be for Star Wars Celebration, and then that got canceled.
What year was that?
That would have been 2020.
Okay.
The one that got canceled.
Yeah,
was
2020.
Yeah.
And so the flight was paid for, the hotel was paid for, everything. And it got canceled. So, and it was my mom and I that went. And so we're like, okay, we'll, push it, a few months. And well, then that one got canceled. And then we picked new dates. And then my best friend came into town, the dates we were planning on going. And I'd been trying to get her to come to Florida for years. So it got moved
just
again.
Keeps on getting pushed.
So finally it happened. We made it. We had to use the flight voucher by the end of the year or we were going to lose it. Wow. So we're like, all right, this has to happen. Like, if it's not now, we're not going to be able to go. So finally made it. We were there for 7 days.
Nice.
And we were just thinking, just doing like 2 days at the parks. And then my mom kind of started looking at the pricing and realized Magic Key, the lowest one, was actually kind of affordable. And if we went 5 days, which we did,
you'd save some money.
Yes. Yeah. It did pay for itself in the 5 days we went.
Okay. Awesome.
So it was so amazing. We also got to go to SeaWorld San Diego.
Nice.
And I'd always wanted to go there. And so that was incredible. We would start at one park and then at 1 o'clock you can do park hopper there. And so we'd go over to the other park and we got to do like web slingers, which was amazing. What's cool about that one too is like it's unlike like Toy Story. You're just like using your hands instead. So you're not actually touching anything. And so it's kind of cool, the technology, because when you're sitting in the car, there's a little like picture in front of you and you can see how you're sitting.
Yeah.
So you can like move your arms and it like moves with you, and it's actually pretty cool.
So do you have to do like the Spider-Man thing?
Yeah, you do the Spider-Man thing.
Can you just like slap your hand out there? Like does it actually read if you're doing the right thing? No.
I just kind of did that a couple times.
When I went in August, I just, oh my God, I'm like, I'm
Don't break my mic. Don't break it.
I'm breaking it.
You break it, you buy it.
But no, like we were just like, like it wasn't even. It was like really bad.
And sometimes instead of doing it back and forth, you just gotta do it twice, like the same time, just to try to get as many as you can.
I feel like that ride would just be too exhausting. You know, like I feel like I would get halfway through and I would just be like, I just want to watch now.
Yeah,
you know,
it was so good though.
Yeah,
it was fun. So we bought, like I said earlier, we bought Disney Genie Plus for 2 of the days.
Yeah.
And so we were able to, like, we were there for like 3 hours and we had already done, gosh, it was like 8 rides in 3 hours. So
quick question about that then. So when you went, this is kind of like you caught it right as like the parks are getting busy because of the holidays.
Yes.
Did you catch it in a slower part of the day, like the season, or was it like pretty busy?
It was pretty busy.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of the parks the day of reached capacity.
Oh,
or
wow.
they weren't doing new reservations at least. So, and I'm not sure what capacity is there now. They haven't really said.
It's a little bit more strict than
here. It is.
It
is. But yeah, the wait times later in the day were definitely getting up there.
Wow.
So it was pretty crowded.
So Genie Plus like really helped you out then.
It did.
Okay.
It really did. We would, first thing in the morning, would like run to one of the additional Lightning Lane attractions, but then we just use, Disney Genie Plus the rest of the time.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were there any attractions other than Web Slingers that was like a new experience for you there? Because I know you went for like the opening of Galaxy's Edge, and then obviously like we have that here too.
Yeah.
Was there like any new experiences that you had there?
I think that was the only one.
Interesting.
Space Mountain is better there in my opinion.
It is. I second that.
There's Space Mountain.
But ours is the OG.
It is.
Ours is the original.
Ours is better.
Well, yeah, no, okay, so yeah, like I said, I haven't been to California, so I haven't experienced that yet. But yeah, I haven't been to the DL, like keep it on the DL, but I haven't been to the DL.
To the DL.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, no, I have heard that it's a lot better over there because they were able to, so part of let's go back to the coaster discussion. I said, you get me talking about coasters, we ain't stopping. So we ain't stopping, all right? Space Mountain in Disney World, the one in Orlando, was the world's first coaster ever run by a computer. Everything up until Space Mountain was all manually operated off of analog systems with human, operators and everything. But Space Mountain, because of the 2 tracks and everything, was such a complex system that it wouldn't have been feasible for them to reliably operate it manually like the traditional style that they had up until that point. So they had to engineer a computer system that would be able to keep track of coasters, and that like helped really develop like block systems and all that, which is how coasters are run to this day based off of the original Space Mountain. But the reason why Disneyland Space Mountain is so much better is because they were able to take what they learned with Space Mountain, like the first one, and actually like go for it and make it the best version of that they could. So a little history there for you. So.
Well, and I will say, and I'm sure you can attest to this, the Thunder Mountain is better there too.
It is.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Everything at Disneyland is better. The Pirates is better.
I didn't say it.
The only thing that isn't better, I've heard, is the Haunted Mansion, because it's the same exact thing that we have here for the most part. But when they do their holiday overlay, which they have now, apparently
it is pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But because they have to change it over so much, a lot of the props are in better condition in Orlando. They're in the normal.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, we did Nightmare Before Christmas, the for the Haunted Mansion.
How was that?
It was really cool.
Was this the first time you've experienced that?
Yeah, that's the first time I've experienced that.
Okay.
And then also for It's a Small World, they do a Christmas.
Yeah, you
I
posted
heard
on your Instagram or your Facebook. You posted pictures.
Yeah.
Of it. You
caught it like right as it reopened too, because it was down for so long.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you caught it.
Yeah.
So out of the 2 holiday attractions, which one was your favorite?
Probably the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
It was really good. I was impressed. I actually didn't realize before that they did that.
Wait, really?
Yeah. And so like
Wow.
we're getting, they have the little pre-show and I'm like kind of confused. And then I'm like,
like, what is
this? This is cool.
Wow. So you didn't even know until like you got on the ride.
Yeah, I really
Wow.
didn't.
That's interesting. I'm surprised they don't like advertise it out front or anything.
Yeah, I think they did, but I wasn't really paying attention.
Tricia,
So,
yes.
And my mom was so adamant about wanting to do it. I'm just kind of like,
I'm like, okay.
And then I'm like, oh, this is why.
So she knew?
Yeah, she knew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
She probably told me, but I
In your out the
You were just so excited to get to Disneyland.
I was.
That's funny.
I never, you know what? I will say something, and it's probably not favored by many Disney Parks fans.
Ooh, I'm ready for this.
I've never been like that obsessed with the Haunted Mansion. There's a really extreme fandom for that attraction at all the Disney parks, like whether it's like the Phantom Manor version in Disneyland Paris or just like here in the States at like, Disneyland or Disney World. I don't know. It's cool, but I've never been like remarkably obsessed with it.
See, I love that ride.
Yeah.
I love that ride. Like that's a ride that if I go to Magic Kingdom, I will be sad if I don't ride it that day. Like, there's a handful of rides there that it's like you just have to ride it. Like for me, like,
do you think it's like the history of it? Do you what do you feel like it is for you that like makes it something that is so meaningful to you?
Well, it's definitely nostalgia. Like I understand that like if the theme parks weren't like a big thing for you growing up, then you could experience Haunted Mansion and be like, meh, whatever.
Yeah.
But like as a child, that one was not just like so captivating and immersive. Like, I remember as a kid like being like how like it felt like I was like there were so many like I don't know how they did that, like the heads turning as you like ride past them. Like there's so many neat effects that are simple effects to today's standards, but as a kid they just like blow your mind. And I remember that feeling as a kid, but it was also like I don't know, I've just always like I hate to sound edgy or whatever, but like I've always just gravitated to like darker things. Like I love movies that don't hold punches and like are darker and aren't afraid to give you that bummer ending. Like my favorite movie of all time, especially as a kid, was Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back.
Freak. No,
for real. But most people say it's New Hope.
Yeah.
But New Hope has, like the big happy ending and all that. And I really loved the dark ending of Empire, like as a kid and everything. Like I loved that the rebellion lost and Luke got his body dismembered, and that the bad guy was the good guy's dad.
Spoiler alert.
I've never seen it. It's not a good ending. And that's why I loved it. I don't know. So, like, as a kid, I just, spoiler for the 40-year-old movie. Sorry, guys. Should have watched it 40 years ago when it came out.
Just don't say who Luke's father is.
We
can't give that spoiler.
It's actually kind of weird that it's Lando because,
right?
like, he's not that much older than him. So it's like...
It's kind of weird.
Getting freaky is like a guy anyways.
Funny stuff.
Chewbacca is Luke's dad? How does that work?
That's crazy.
No
one saw that coming.
Chewbacca and Yoda got together, and that's how Luke happened.
That's Luke. There you go.
There it is. Anyways,
you said it.
How did we get to this?
So your trip though to California was beyond magic.
That's it. Cool.
The next time she goes, she's already agreed she's going to take us. We
contractually, actually.
Contractually
agreed. Like, we already signed a thing. You don't know it yet, but while you were sleeping, we got you to like,
And we're going to Magic Mountain.
Okay.
That is like on the bucket list for all of us.
So last time I was there, I was too scared to ride Incredicoaster.
Really?
And I literally was like about to get in line the last time, and I was just like, I wimped out and I didn't do it. This time I did it.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, that you didn't go that long ago though, didn't like the last time you went?
It's been 2.5 years since I've been there.
Interesting. I thought you like had started enjoying coasters.
I had, but then I was by myself. So at that point, I needed like somebody there with me to like push me to do it, and then I liked it. But as I'm standing there like by myself, I was just like,
oh yeah, because your mom doesn't ride coasters.
Yeah, because she doesn't ride. Yeah.
So what did you think?
It was funny because I liked it, but I was like, wow, this is really calm compared to a lot of rides I've been on.
Yeah.
It just has like the one loop, and then
that's it.
It has some things kind of like Slinky Dog, where it goes like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so again, I haven't ridden it, so it could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's supposed to look like a wooden coaster.
Yeah.
But have like a steel track, like a normal like steel coaster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has a lot of like wooden coaster elements.
Yeah.
But and then that one loop. Yeah.
It was fun though. But I was like, this is what I was scared of.
Not worth the 8-hour wait that it had.
Well, I used my Disney Genie Plus.
Hey, there it is. There it is. Yes. Worth the $20.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we also did one of the character dining experiences.
Oh, okay.
Because we were actually really curious how that was going to be with COVID. And so the way they do it is they had like the buffet out still and everything, which I was kind of surprised they had a like buffet. But they do like a dance party with the characters.
Which character dining was this?
It was Chef Goofy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like the generic Disney characters, like Minnie, Mickey, Goofy, and all that.
Yep. So it was at one of the resorts.
Oh, okay.
And so they had who did they have? They had Minnie, Goofy, Pluto, Chip and Dale. I don't think Mickey was there.
You gotta pay extra for Mickey.
Yeah, you probably do. So yeah, they just kind of do like a dance party, like around I think it's like every 15 minutes, and start playing music, and they just kind of go around and wave.
He's character dining plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a late joke.
You gotta pay $20 extra.
Exactly. So that's kind of like, I guess, how they're doing it with COVID now, instead of, because I've done character dining before, and they come up to the table and take pictures and stuff. But I think for the time being, how it's going to be.
Interesting. That's cool. So, I mean, did you enjoy it though? Like overall, like would you recommend that experience?
I did.
In the state that it's in?
I mean, I probably would wait till it's back to normal. Because character dining is not cheap.
Oh, I know, especially at Disney.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I don't do it very often, but we were just like, all right, it's a special occasion kind of thing. Yeah. Like, we're here, let's do it. And yeah, it's expensive, but it was fun. It was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said that you also went over to SeaWorld San Diego.
Yes.
How was that?
That was good. A lot of the roller coasters were down, which was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
But we kind of...
Do you know why? Like, did they say why?
They didn't say. They just, when you showed up, that said the list of rides that were down. So, but the park was empty. So I don't know.
Probably because all their coasters were down.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was fun. We just like kind of walked around. They have the decorations out there and everything.
Yeah.
Something that was a little bit of a fail though. They do like this big tree lighting. So we're like, okay, this is probably the tree. So we have like, we look at our phones, we're doing a countdown.
Oh no.
Nothing happens. And then we find out it's the tree that's way over there. That's on the other side of the park. And we're just like,
I would do that.
Yeah. We literally were counting down. We have our phones out ready to record.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, where is everyone? Why aren't anyone else in around here?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
So we just kind of watched it. We're like, oh, are they late or something? And no, we were at the wrong tree.
That's great.
Yeah.
The best show at SeaWorld is waiting for the wrong tree.
Yes. That was kind of like how we kind of goes in with how we want to end our trip. So we were like, we're going to go to the beach and we're going to see the sunset. It's going to be so awesome.
Like the SoCal sun.
Yes. Yeah. Like we're so ready for this. It was rainy and cloudy.
Oh no.
Literally, it was like the muggiest, most disgusting day.
Oh no.
And so we still went to the beach and we had a picnic in our car.
That's sweet.
Hey,
yeah.
Well, it was a nice picnic at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but we had a great trip. It
That's
was
awesome.
It was amazing. It was long overdue. And It was a really good week.
I'm excited that you got to go because I remember you being so excited and then something would happen.
Yes.
And you telling me about it.
Yeah.
And then like, so you finally made it happen.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
I was like, I'm not going to believe it's happening until I'm actually at Disney and seeing, the castle and actually being on the property. I'm like, I'm still not going to believe it's happening until that happens.
And hey, it happened.
It did. It happened.
That's awesome.
That was awesome.
And you're bringing us next time.
Yes.
Okay, it's on video now.
Officially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, so then when's the next trip? I need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that you had such a good time. Quick question, though. We talked a little bit about web slingers. What do you think about the rest of Avengers Campus?
It was cool. They have a Spider-Man show, which it's really cool.
Like with the animatronic that swings, like that one?
Well, they have an actor, too, that does it, too.
Yeah.
And so it's fine because you can see the thing that's holding him. So that kind of takes away a little. I know they have to have it for their safety, but he's jumping from things.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't just train him to crawl on the wall like Spider-Man. Like,
it's not Cirque du Soleil.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but it was really cool. He's like, jumping from the buildings and everything.
Did you see any of the other shows? Like, I know they actually have like a Doctor Strange performance. They have like a oh man, why am I blanking on their name?
Avengers headquarters. What is that? At the Stark Tower.
Yeah, well,
they do a thing there. I only know this because I saw it. But what is it? It's like the Stark Tower, is it not? What is the place?
Yeah.
The headquarters. The Avengers headquarters.
Avengers headquarters or something.
Yeah.
But they also
have a show there too.
The people from Black Panther. Like,
oh my gosh!
I'm blanking on their name.
Wakanda something. I don't know.
I literally I will remember their name as soon as we stop recording this podcast. But everyone's yelling at their whatever they're watching this on.
You idiots!
Yeah, it's this. Yeah. But did you see any of those other shows?
I didn't see the shows, but they had a lot of characters out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they were doing like the distanced photos and stuff. So.
That's cool. Yeah.
The Doctor Strange thing is pretty amazing. I saw that at night.
Oh, so you did see that?
I did see that. When I went with the group I was with, we actually experienced all of them because they were obsessed with like the group I was with. They were obsessed with the Avengers specifically. So we saw the Wakanda experience. That is not the name.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and they interact with guests, which is even cooler. The Doctor Strange thing, the lighting is just wild. It actually reminds me of, and I always this is one experience that I don't even think they're doing anymore at Magic Kingdom. What is the experience where you get? Is it Belle? Where the mirror on the wall expands and becomes a portal.
Didn't that just reopen?
Did it reopen?
Yeah.
I hope it did. Whatever that's called. It reminded me of that. It was so immersive. It was insane. Like you feel like you're in the movie with the lighting effects with the Doctor Strange thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen a video of that at night.
Don't watch a video. Just do it in person because it's so amazing.
Yeah, I saw a video of it during the day where it didn't have the lighting. Yeah.
At night, it's wild.
Okay.
That I guess I just got lucky to see it at night. And then the Avengers headquarters show is really exciting as well. And there's there's no lights because it's outside, but there is stunts and action and it's just a really cool, fun thing to do. It is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Next time you get that, we're gonna put that on our list of things to do when we all go together.
Yes, for sure. Did you eat at, or either of you, did you eat at
Pim's Cafe?
Pim's Cafe?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I liked it.
Do they? I'm assuming Disney. So Disney's been getting a lot better at it. Do they have vegan options there?
Yeah, it was like a pasta thing.
Okay.
And then there's a giant meatball on it.
Like a fake meatball.
Yeah, fake meatball. Yeah. They use Impossible. Which Impossible, Disney and them have an agreement. So there's.
Are they exclusive now?
I don't know if is it exclusive.
I don't know. I was asking.
Oh well,
I don't think it's exclusive, but they have they sponsor them.
Oh, that's wild.
So a lot of the fake meats you'll find at Disneyland are
that other
Impossible.
company's just beyond Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
It's beyond now.
Exactly.
Too much for Disney.
Before we changed the Pim's Cafe, that my issue when we went, there just wasn't a lot of seating.
Yes. Yeah.
So we had to fight to get a seat.
Yeah. we were lucky because somebody was getting up as
and
we
then
walked
you ran in.
Yeah. We're like, are you leaving? And they're like, yes. We're like,
That's
Wow.
one note I have.
yeah.
Just a single note.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of got to be like that annoying person in the parking lot that just waits for them to get back out of the spot, you know? Yeah, that's how it is at Galaxy's Edge too. You know, like any sort of seating area or whatever, just because it's like the new popular area.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that'll be better as time goes on.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, maybe not at Avengers Campus because like maybe in 25 years they'll eventually get around to building that Avengers ride, and then that land will be popular again.
Yeah.
So maybe it might take a little while with Avengers, but at least for like Galaxy's Edge, like as time has progressed, it's gotten better there.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that'll get a little bit better. The Pim Cafe thing, just that seems like the most unique area in the park in that area. Just because there's new experiences there, and I'm not saying that other stuff isn't new, but it's like all the other stuff is either character meet and greets or like, you know, Spider-Man seems really cool, but it seems like a modern day version of Toy Story Mania. And
people compared it to like Ninjago at what is that
Legoland?
place? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, so for me, like, I think what brings my excitement down so much is, you know, like last week we were talking about, this was the one attraction that I was like, I know that I'm forgetting something when we were talking about this, but it was Spider-Man, when we were talking about how Disney has just been putting in a bunch of screen-based attractions lately, where Universal's kind of going the other way, where they're putting in a lot of like practical stuff.
Like tangible,
Yeah. And the one ride that I knew that I was forgetting, but I just, was Spider-Man. But, you know, the reason why my excitement for that ride has gone down so much since it opened was just because, honestly, like, Universal did it better, and they did it better 20-something years ago, you know?
Yeah.
Like... So it's like, well, yeah, for real. It's a 22-year-old ride now, and I feel like I would
remastered in high definition.
Well, yeah, but it's the same ride, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
But 22 years ago, they built that ride, and I feel like it's still better than. I mean, again, granted, I haven't ridden the new Spider-Man.
You're not off though. You're not off.
Well, yeah, but you know, I know that ride is more of an experience than any video could offer because you have to participate in that.
Definitely.
So the participation might like skew it a little bit more, like if you ride it in person. So I don't know. I haven't ridden it, but at least for me, like my anticipation went down as soon as I realized, oh, it's like Midway Mania, because personally, like I don't really like, so I enjoy those rides like Midway Mania and Buzz Lightyear, and over at Universal like Men in Black, like I enjoy those rides, but those rides will never be my favorite because to me it is like the like I am so like I don't play sports, I don't enjoy sports, and part of that is partially because I am so like anti-competition. Like some people, when they see competition, they're like, I'm here, I'm in, I'm going to get it, you're going down. For me, I'm like, it like kind of it pushes me away where I'm like, no, I'm good, man. Like you like go for it, you know? And so like that competition kind of thing just like is something that some people love those rides and they go crazy for those rides. But for me, like that just is an element of a ride where I'm like, whatever. You know, like I would enjoy it more if I didn't have to compete in it. If I could just experience it and have a good time. Like I love roller coasters, and you know, like I understand that it's harder to theme a roller coaster than it is to theme an indoor dark ride where you can shoot some stuff, but I will always enjoy coasters more because it's an experience that I can have the best experience with that ride every time I ride it, where you know you're always competing to have like the better whatever with these other rides, and that just kind of like always knocks that ride down a notch for me, unfortunately. So I was kind of bummed when I found out that Spider-Man would be that. So for me, regardless of theming or whatever, I don't know, I feel like I will just always prefer Universal Spider-Man because it's an experience that you can have every time, where the other one, depends on how much energy you have. And if you get tired halfway through doing the Spider-Man thing, if you get tired, you're going to have a worse score. Yeah, the web slinging, whatever, so I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it, at least. So I hate to be a bummer on that, but
you'll just have to ride it on the next trip then.
Yeah, I will. Yes. Yes. When we all go together.
Exactly.
And hopefully by then they'll have the Avengers ride open.
Yes.
So, well, actually, hopefully by then they won't, because that would mean that we get there sooner.
That's true.
I don't want to wait that long. Hopefully we get to go soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, but hopefully we get to go soon and the Avengers ride.
There it
is.
That's it. Cool. So, is there anything else that you want to add to your trip report? Anything else you wanted to talk about?
I think that's pretty good.
Awesome. Cool. Anything you want to talk about?
I guess the last thing,
only one last thing, Sean. We're running out of time.
You're gonna literally get the hook and just pull me off stage.
I'm just gonna mute your mic.
That works too, honestly. I'm supposed to just do that at the beginning of this podcast.
It'll be 10 minutes if you just
blah, 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 blah,
and we don't hear what you're saying. Yeah.
So you had kind of brought up the comparison of Universal Spider-Man versus Disneyland's.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one I actually had not made. I've been on Spider-Man in Universal Orlando like 1,000 times. I can't even count.
One of my favorite indoor dark rides.
It really is amazing. Yeah. And it's incredible. It's such a great ride. It's so good. From my personal experience with both, I will also agree with you. I think it is much better than the Spider-Man at Disneyland. I enjoy the Spider-Man at Disneyland. I think it was cool. And it's a fun new experience. But I think it, like, as far as not even just the comparison of like it being like a, I guess, experience where you're in competition to see who gets the higher score, whatever. Like, even if you take away that, I will say the graphics are insane on that ride. Like, it was, like, you feel like it was, that was one thing I will say. It was just so incredible. I've never seen screens like that.
Really?
Like, it was it was kind of amazing. Like, that was one thing that actually, I will say that was better, the graphics. But besides that, like the ride and the physical movements and everything else at like Universal Orlando, I think that Spider-Man is like the one. But the visually, it is wild.
Like, could you imagine if like the two had a baby together, where it was like interactive and the graphics were better, but it was the same kind of like ride thing as like ride system and everything as Universal?
It would be.
That would be insane.
Yeah, it actually would be.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do with Avengers, because like Disney has this really bad habit, and I wish they would stop doing this, where they build these massive lands and they're supposedly like really great and all this, but then they open and their e-ticket attraction's not there. So like they did this with Galaxy's Edge, both Galaxy's Edges.
They did.
Where it opened up and
no rides.
Yeah, like Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is not an e-ticket attraction, and that's fine. It wasn't meant to be an e-ticket attraction. It was meant to be like a D or C list attraction, like a step or two below your e-ticket attraction, and that's fine. Every land needs that. Every land needs a ride that is that fills the space when your main
people mover.
For every Marvel superhero island, you need your Storm Force accelerator, or Accelatron, or whatever it's called. You need your Doctor Doom's Fearfall. Like, you need those rides that are good and they're fun, but they're not your Hulk or Spider-Man. And in this case, and it's been really bothering me that Disney has done this a lot, where they open their land before everything's finished in it. And I get it. You want to capitalize on the hype as soon as you can. Like, you don't want to build a land for 10 years. It's too long. And I understand these attractions are getting more and more complex. But, like, I wish that they wouldn't open up, because like Avengers, we don't have any news on that. Like, we don't even know if they're currently building it or not. Like, we don't know if like when it's supposed to open. We don't know. Like, there's been rumors there's even been rumors that it's been like indefinitely postponed. So like, are we even getting an Avengers attraction? We don't even know. And like this is a little different than Galaxy's Edge, because at least with Galaxy's Edge they planned on opening the two at the same time, and then they had technical issues with Rise of the Resistance, so they had to push it, and so that was. But I feel like because of that experience, they just assumed that it's okay to start doing that now, and I really wish that they didn't open like the Avengers Campus. I almost called it Marvel Superhero Island, but I wish that they didn't open Avengers Campus until that ride was ready, because Spider-Man, like, I feel like I am being more harsh on it than I should be, because it's the only attraction in the land right now. It was never meant or designed to be the only attraction. Like, that ride is not an e-ticket attraction, but it is being treated like it is because it's the only attraction in that land. It's the only attraction drawing people to that land, which means by default it is the e-ticket attraction. But it is not an e-ticket attraction, and it was not designed to be an e-ticket attraction. So I feel like a lot of the criticism is fair, but I feel like that criticism won't stand the test of time, because as soon as Avengers opens, the context of where Spider-Man fits in will fit a lot better. You know, like the context of Smuggler's Run, it makes a lot more sense now that Rise of the Resistance is open. But for the longest time, people were like, it's a good ride, but like, I don't know, like, you know. But now people don't really say that about that attraction anymore because Rise of the Resistance is open. And I feel like the same thing's going to happen with Spider-Man. So I don't know.
When the Avengers
when Avengers open.
I feel like, you know, it seems like this new precedent. I think it's just, it seems like this, I'm going to be gross for a second.
Oh, no.
But it's like, I feel like it's just a way of, I feel like a way Disney has always succeeded as far as like getting more people to continue coming back to their theme parks is it's like this, I guess, what is the word that, the cadence of it, like as far as like they give you a little bit at a time, so it keeps people coming back for more and more. Like they don't release all their cards in their hand at once. They slowly put one down at a time, because it's this way of just like continuously getting people to come back. And I think that's this business, is you kind of have to keep evolving. And that is a way to do it. And it's gross and it sucks, and because you want to just get all of your value right then on the spot. But I guess if you like it from a business perspective, it does make more sense to roll these things out over a long period of time.
You know, that, and I get that.
And I don't support this.
Well,
but I think that it makes a lot of sense.
And like, that's an old tried and true method for theme parks. You know, there's expansion lands, you know, like, okay, so a great example of this is what Universal is doing with Super Nintendo World in Japan. So they opened Super Nintendo World.
Or even at Universal Orlando, or no, not Universal Hollywood, is it coming to?
Yes. I mean, it's also coming to Orlando, but in the new Epic universe. But what they are doing actively right now in Japan is they had already opened Super Nintendo World, and it premiered with its e-ticket attraction and a C or D ticket attraction with Yoshi. So they have Mario Kart and they have Yoshi. And those are two attractions. That's enough to fill a small land, you know, and it has its restaurants and stuff. The land opened as a full package. They didn't open the land with Yoshi and then say, but you're going to get Mario Kart in like 23 years whenever we decide to open this 200 years down the road. Maybe if we even open it period, like, I don't know, maybe. Like, what they did was they opened the whole land, and they knew that it was going to be successful enough that they could build more onto it. So they opened a land in which it is a fully fledged, like, thought out land, you know, and they specifically saved this portion of land out here to develop it a few years down the road once the land's opened. Well, Super Nintendo World opened, and it did really well, as they expected it to. And so now they're building Bowser's no, it's not Bowser. It's it's the Donkey Kong coaster. They're building a new Donkey Kong coaster right next to it. So, you know, it's a tried and true method of building theme parks. You know, like Epic Universe is doing this, where they have 4 plots of land, but clearly in the concept art that they released, you can see that there are a bunch of empty spaces that are just trees. You know, like it's all empty, and that is specifically intentionally designed to be expansion plots so that they can build new things in the future. The difference, though, as to what theme parks, including Disney, has done traditionally in the past versus what Disney is doing now, is they are not opening up theme park lands with a fully thought out, realized, like a fully thought out land. They are releasing a half-built area and saying, don't look over here. Like, let us figure this out first, and let's build this. Like, we're still working on this. I know we promised this, but even though we promised this, you're not going to be able to get it until who knows how long. Mm-hmm. But still, like, we're still going to charge you the same amount to be here, even though we promised that this would be here.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm not okay with. You know, I understand the expansion lot, like property, like the expansion areas of the parks, you know, but the difference between that is Disney knowing and building like a full land and opening their land with Spider-Man and Avengers, and knowing that Avengers Campus would be so popular that eventually they would want to expand more, and saving a plot of land to be able to expand into it eventually, versus opening Avengers Campus and promising Avengers and Spider-Man, but then like the namesake ride Avengers, like Avengers Campus, but Avengers isn't even open, like, and like that's not okay. And I do not like that Disney's been doing that, and I hope that they don't continue to do that, because like there's like rumors that they're going to be doing that with the new Avengers Campus in Paris. Which, I mean, hopefully they don't, because one is just a refurb and a retheming of another ride that already exists. But like there's rumors that's going to happen there. There's been talks that might even happen at Frozen we just talked about this too. Paris, maybe. One of the other parks. Who knows? Somewhere. I am genuinely, I believe it is Disney Studios in Paris. Yeah, because they're also doing Galaxy's Edge over there, but it's like a smaller, modified version of Galaxy's Edge over there. So I don't know. Anyways, we've been going on for too long about this, but yeah, I don't know.
You know what you could say? I mean, you could blame COVID. You could blame or it could just be like their lack of planning. I really don't know, in honesty. Like, there's so many things that have happened in these past just 2 years that I don't think anyone really ever planned for. I mean, look at the construction of even like Epic Universe has been pushed back by how long? Yeah,
I mean, that's true.
You know,
and that's
like
fair.
I think and it's not right. And I get everything you're saying. I just think there's been so many bizarre circumstances that have hit the theme park industry. But
I mean, Galaxy's Edge was open way before COVID.
It's true, though. You're right. That's very true as well. But I think when that was announced, though, was it all announced that all of those attractions were going to open at the exact same time? Because pretty early into that process, I do remember that was when they kind of started modifying the release dates and the opening dates for everything.
Well, the reasoning for that specifically was because they were having issues having the trackless ride system. So the way the trackless ride system works is there's like Wi-Fi pucks, like RFID Wi-Fi
in
pucks
the cement, like under the ground.
And they, I guess they buried them too deep into the cement. So they were having issues with the ride system talking to that, especially in the parts where like the ride vehicle gets in the elevators and stuff. So they were having issues with that, and they had to completely, the reason why the one in Orlando opened before the one in California
they had to
was because
tear up the ground, right?
In California, they had to completely tear up the ground and pull them up, where in Orlando, they were far enough along in the process that they were able to take that information and just adjust for it, so they didn't have to tear up the ground.
I remember the Disneyland version was supposed to open before, I believe, in the beginning, and then it kind of got swapped.
It kind of got swapped. Disneyland's land as a whole opened up before Orlando's, but our Rise of the Resistance opened up before California's.
Yeah. I don't know. That's wild. Yeah. Crazy.
So they had to deal with having Smuggler's Run as the only ride longer than we did.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
Yeah, that's so funny. But yeah, I think that's going to end it for this episode. Let's go ahead and give our socials and all that. So Sean, where can people find you? Thanks for joining us, by the way.
Oh my, thank you for having me. Yeah. And you can find me on Instagram at Sean Spazzato.
Awesome. And thank you so much for joining us as well, Tricia. Where can people find you?
On Instagram, Tricia611.
Cool. Perfect. And my name is Jonathan, and of course you can find me on social media pretty much anywhere at JohnHolt96. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Be sure to, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when we post these videos. If you like the video, toss a thumbs up on it because it helps other people just like you enjoy the content that you enjoy to watch. So share the parks with people, share the conversation of the love of the theme parks with all your friends. So hit that like button. It really does help out. If you're listening in the audio version, go ahead and leave a review and rate the podcast. It really does help us out, and it helps us know the things that you like about this podcast and the things that, the suggestions that maybe you think we could change. So leave a review over on the podcasting apps as well. We're on literally any podcasting app. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. But that is going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, remember, the adventure lives on.